Welcome back to Tales and Treasures. I'm your host, Mr. Almeida, and I've just arrived in Tampere, Finland to get a tour of a museum called Vapriikki. And amongst other things, it's a gamer museum or a gaming museum. And I'm getting a tour guide, and I think he's right here. Wanna say hello to Mikko.
Hi.
So, you're giving us a tour?
Yep, let's do that.
Let's go do that. We are here in the game museum with Mikko, and behind us there's this beautiful wall of consoles, and I'm just gonna let him tell us what's going on, who he is, and how this all became to be.
So hi, my name is Mikko and I'm one of the founding members of the museum. I don't work at the museum, I volunteer for it, but I was part of establishing this museum back in 2017, or actually for the crowdfunding backers, it already opened in 2016. Anyway, the Finnish Museum of Games is located in Tampere, in the museum center Vapriikki, and it basically covers a large part of the first floor or the second floor, depending on which country you're from. Anyway, it covers Finnish games from the present day back to the 1800s and even further than that, with some of the Sami, the indigenous people's games and such. And it covers both digital games and board games, role-playing games, pen and paper, LARPs and so on. I'm a digital gamer myself. I started collecting around 1992 or so, just by buying back all of the systems that I had as a child, and then those I didn't have because I was reading the magazines and seeing pictures, and back in the day they were really cheap, and I just started buying them without giving it much thought. In 1999, with my friend Manu Pärssinen and my brother Ville, we set up the online museum, Pelikone Pay on it, and from the beginning we had the idea that we want to set up something actual, an exhibition at least, and we did a lot of that in the early 2000s. So we partnered, for example, with Pelit magazine, popular computer games, video games magazine in Finland, and they asked us to set up booths for them. We did that, and that helped us to gain some experience. Quite early on, we also started collaborating a bit with the City of Tampere museums. We set up an exhibition in 2008 about our collection. It was just supposed to be a small thing for 2 weeks, but it became massively popular. So that also created some interest on the city side. Then in 2012, we helped with the hardware side in an exhibition set up by the University of Tampere called Finnish Games Then and Now, and that was also quite popular, and I met some people from the university, and then in 2014 actually the then editor of Pelit magazine, Tuija Lindén, said that she wanted to move forward with the museum idea, that we need to set up something. So that sort of gave me the final push that I needed to just bring people together. So I contacted the museum, I contacted the university, I contacted other people I knew, and we decided to move forward and set up a crowdfunding campaign. We did that in 2015 and ended up setting the Finnish record for crowdfunding at the time, because Finland has specific rules about crowdfunding, so we can't do Kickstarter, we need to do a separate type of arrangement. Anyway, so we raised almost 100,000 euros with that. We raised quite a bit of additional funds from Avoin Tampere and other programs, and then we finally opened in late 2016, and since then the museum has been a massive success with almost 200,000 visitors per year and so on, so it's very popular indeed.
Wow, that is a lot of information, and it seems like a lot of moving parts to make all of this happen. but luckily there are a lot of gamers and interested people in games who wanted this to happen.
Yeah. The crowdfunding thing, it was important. It was important because of the money we could raise, of course, but more so because it made this a thing for all of us. So it's not just something that we set up in Tampere for a few people, but it's for all of Finland, and we had great support from companies such as Supercell, Colossal Order, Housemarque, and so on. They chipped in with funding, and they've also helped us immensely. And a lot of the studios in Finland, they've submitted material. We have some very exclusive stuff here on display. They've helped us with providing special builds of their games, and we received massive community support. And I think that the crowdfunding was very important in that respect. So in many ways it was much more valuable than the money we raised, because it brought in the involvement and the sense of ownership that's very important for a project like this.
So, let's go into the arcade room. I've never been into an actual arcade, so this should be exciting.
Yeah, the arcade is one of my favorite places in the museum, and I'm really happy that some of the machines that we collected over the years, they ended up here, because we started buying these in the late 90s, early 2000s, when they didn't really cost anything. It was just that you had to be there to pick it up, or it was going to get scrapped, which was the case very much for the winner, for example. So this is an original Pong machine. It's made by Midway, but it's the same machine as the Atari Pong, which was the first very successful arcade game. It's out of order right now. It tends to be in and out of order.
It's okay. I'm also in and out of order all the time. That's why it's been taking me so long to edit this episode. I think the 50-year-old machine gets a pass.
But it's the basic paddles and ball thing. This had been stored outside. It had been struck by lightning, so it was on the way out very much when we saved it. But we managed, and one of the crowdfunding stretch goals was to restore this for operation, and I hope that we will get it running again someday in the near future. It's a very simple game because it has no CPU, no memory. It's just logic chips that create the game, and I really love it because on some days you're supposed to play from 0 to 11, but on some days it might start at 5, it might end at 9. It's how it feels on that particular day, but it's 50 years old, so it gets a pass. Sega Jet Rocket. This is not a video game at all. It's an electromechanical game. So all of this action is created by, I'll just press the start button so you can see. So there's a rubber mat moving inside the machine, and it's illuminated by means of black light, and then when you fire, it just lights up these lights, and you're supposed to hit the targets, which you never do, but it doesn't matter, it's cool anyway. And this was in like a traveling fair, so it was moved from place to place, and then we saved it around the year 2000, stored it for 15 years, hoping it would go somewhere, and now it's here. And when we set it up, when we started the museum people told us, okay, it's an old machine, it won't last like 2 weeks, and 7 years and it's still here. So very good Sega technology from 1970. These are great machines. It's the only electromechanical thing in this arcade, but anyway, we tried to make this look sort of like an actual arcade. When this was set up, the bar arcade thing that we have now, it wasn't nearly as popular, and there were very few places where you could actually play these games. So I'm really happy that we were able to set this up. And the games here, they're very popular. For example, the pinball machines, we have 2. And we have to have 2 because they get a lot of play time. The operator who services these, he said that on a machine like this, you usually get the normal annual number of plays in 2 or 3 weeks at the museum. So they're very heavily played, and they require a lot of service. So we have service every Monday, and despite that, there are of course some problems. But we try to keep like 90% of the games running at all times. Sometimes we manage, other times we don't. But there's like a rotating service thing, and we have more games than are on display because if a machine breaks like really badly, we just take it out, put something else in its place, and then fix that. We have, for example, we have the original Outrun machine, which is the moving game from 1986, but it's not in the arcade now because one of the motors broke, and we had to find a replacement and do other stuff. And we have a flight simulator that's also missing a part, but it's just everyday thing. And anyway, you could speculate that this would be worth much more if you never just if you just mothballed them and you never used them. But I feel that the games are meant to be played and not displayed. This is what they were made for, and this is what they should do, and people should be able to enjoy them.
And there's actually a lot of people in here right now. Do people come here just to play the games, instead of just the museum tour? Do they just, come here just to play?
Well, we don't really have data on that because we just log the entrance.
Yeah.
But this is nothing compared to like a normal, because it's early Sunday, so people are just coming in. This will be full by the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I know that this is probably the most popular spot in the museum, and we get like feedback. Okay, could you make it larger? And could you add more games and things like that? But yeah, this is popular, and I'm happy about that because for a long time these machines were really unwanted, and I like for a lot of the machines on here right now, I paid like next to nothing. It was just like, okay, pick it up or we're going to scrap it.
Yeah.
So
are they're all free to play?
yeah.
Yeah. So all you have to do is pay the museum entrance fee, which is what, 15 euros?
Yeah, at the moment.
Yeah. So then you just come here and play all day on the machines.
Yeah, and I should note if you come to Tampere, there are also other arcades that operate on a similar basis. So you can come here and you can visit the other ones on the same day. So
yeah. What's your favorite arcade here?
It's now at the moment it's Outrun 2 because the original Outrun is out of commission. But Outrun 2 is a great game, and really it's very difficult to make a sequel to a very successful, really good game. And but they managed. I see that the screen is not like 100%, but this is also real life. This is what happens, and we run like original CRTs on all of the machines. No LCD, no replacements. It's all original hardware. And this is a good game. It changes the dynamics of the original game somewhat, but it retains like the feel and the entertainment, and also the famous branching gameplay. So you can adjust the difficulty level as you go along, and I really love this game. My brother actually won this machine from Sega in a photography contest in the 2000s, and I bought it off him, and then now it's here.
That's crazy good luck. Imagine having this at home.
Yeah, actually it's like, I feel that it's more fun. This is our machine as well from our collection, but I feel that it's more fun to have it here, because if you have just one machine at home, then there's always the problem of, okay, would I like to switch it, or am I happy with this game? You start changing them, and then, but if you can just come here, have a quick play, then go do something else. So I feel that these are better here, because even if you have like an emulation cabinet or something like that, what you end up doing is you switch the game over and over again, and you're never like concentrating on just one thing. But if you have it in an arcade setting, it's fun to come here and just have a quick play.
Got the time? So what do we have here?
Well, the museum is like focused on Finnish games developed in Finland and such, but we do have some exceptions, and this is one of them. We built these interiors that are like period pieces. We've tried to come up with some sort of year and build something around that. And this is a game store from the very early 2000s, and you could see places like this. Actually, this is very much reminiscent of one that was in Tampere at the time. Anyway, these were like usually small businesses that bought and sold games. You still have some of these, but they're very few and far between nowadays. And this is one that we set up for the collector community. So there are quite a few rare items here that you just need to find and know. And things that we also try to change them over from time to time, so that you find something new every time, and quite a few like nice items from Japan, for example. Then we have the only Nintendo hands-free controller with the European stamps that we know of, and things like that. So this is one of the period rooms that was built, but this is the only one that looks like a store. The others are like hobbyist rooms and such. We'll have a look at them in a moment. Here's another one of the theme rooms that I spoke about. This is like circa 1995, and like this is much less messy than my room was in 1995, but otherwise it could be my room. So I don't know how many of you have heard about the demo scene, but it's this thing where we create like non-interactive visual demonstrations, and it's been very popular in Finland for a long time. Among a small niche, of course, but a lot of the game developers, the early game creators in Finland, they came from the demo scene. So the first games published like international, the big titles, they were built in part by demo scene people like Remedy and also at Housemarque and so on. So they can trace their roots back there. And of course the Commodore Amiga, it's a very important machine for myself. I really love the machine, I still do, and I met a lot of friends through that, including my friend Manu, and it gave me a sense of community that I hadn't found like elsewhere. So it's very important for me in the 1990s. So we wanted to sort of pay tribute to the demo scene with this small thing. We've done other stuff relating to it, but here you see some of the, for example, Assembly. It's the longest running demo party in the world, still going on. Now it's mostly a LAN party, a game thing, but the demo scene thing is still there. And so you can see some early information on that. We have some demos running on these screens, and then on the Amiga you can play games and you can also watch demos on it. So and take a peek into the mind of a hobbyist in 1995 with the magazines and games and such. This is more or less what 1985 in Finland looked like. The Commodore 64, it was massively popular in Finland. It just like obliterated the competition, and I think they sold over 200,000 units, which was a huge number for the time. So everyone I knew basically had a C64, and we mostly used it to play games. Some people did other stuff, but for the most part it was just a game machine. And this is Boulder Dash. It's not a Finnish game, but it was popular in Finland, and it's also popular in the museum. And this is one of the favorite places for people to take selfies, because people my age, 40 going on 50, they recognize this. It's a familiar atmosphere. And the funny thing is that people have also brought in other stuff. Like, you would think that losing items in a place like this, in a setting where they're all freely available, that would be a concern, but it's not. Instead, people are finding things in their homes and bringing them here because they think it fits with the atmosphere. So there are more things now than there were when we opened. But it's really cool to see people engaging with the museum in this way.
Wow, it's Christmas already? It feels like Christmas being here. Now this is a very Finnish living room.
Yes, this is high, because we had like an actual TV set decorator build these. So this is circa 1980, and if you wanted to give out an award to the most broken machine at the museum, it would be the Pong thing, because we've gone through so many of these that then we started like first, of course, because all of these are based on one single chip that you can still get like fairly easily, called the Pong on a chip. But it turns out that's not very durable. So we had a local hack lab build us a custom unit that's more durable. But people are playing this so much that we've gone through quite a few of those as well. So this is massively popular to play Pong on the CRT in an age where we have photorealistic graphics. So make of that what you will. Here on the main arena, we have some of the awards that have been given to the museum, and we have some from Finland, the Sensation of the Year in 2016, which was nice because we had just launched and they thought it was worth an award. But for me personally, the Dibner Award for Excellence in Museum Exhibits is the most important one, for now at least, because it has never been awarded to a museum in Finland before, and the places that received it like previously were places like the Smithsonian and some of the British really high-end museums, and we were able to achieve this with what was a really minor budget, like a team effort, and I flew to St. Louis to pick it up in 2018, and it was the worst 3 days of my life because I was jet lagged on the way there, while I was there, and on the way back, because when you fly for just for 3 days and visit the States, you're never in the correct time zone. Anyway, it was a very nice gala to receive the award, and it's a very prized possession, and it also tells you about like the overall quality of the museum, how much work has been done for it, how much research and so on. So I'm really happy to get this external recognition as well. The museum people working in the industry, they call this the Oscar of the museum, the Academy Award. So it was a very, very high praise, and of course we value all of the positive feedback that we received, but it's just so rare to get something international for a smallish museum in Finland.
Oh, it's like what we say, the marketplace.
Yes,
Really?
yes. We immediately proceeded to the marketplace.
Yeah. So,
yeah, in addition to the permanent exhibition, parts of which you've seen, we also have these what we call changing exhibitions. So these are only on display for a shorter period of time. We have one on Moomin games at the moment, but it's in the corner, and this is based on my personal collection of game controllers. So it was once again one of those things. I started like noticing that I have a lot of joysticks, and then I started digging into what these actually are. So these are old game controllers from the 1980s, 1990s, but not a lot of information was like available, and it was puzzling to me because it was a sort of a big industry at the time, because these were made originally for the Atari 2600 or VCS game console, because the original controllers were rubbish basically. So it created like a third-party market for it, but even for the most popular ones, some of the Suncom sticks, for example, nobody seemed to know the exact year where they were made, when they were made, and who made them, and for some joysticks, even that we have here, we don't know the brand or the manufacturer or the year. So this was just cheap, low-cost, mass-produced plastic that's largely forgotten, and I wanted to dig up as much info as I could, and it resulted in this exhibition, and it has a lot of background information on the types of switches that were used, and how the sort of the joystick developed in one direction, and then Nintendo came out with the Famicom, the NES, and that sort of started the D-pad thing, although it originated from the Game & Watch, of course, but how that then developed in another direction, but those two merged then when we come to the 3D games, and you have to have a small joystick in there, and how all of this has basically led up to this point where we have the very standard joypad with the D-pad, the analog stick, and then the buttons, and how they came to be, and so on. So this is an exhibition that talks about that basically. It's only available until late November this year, but sometimes these then go on tours. Some of our short-term exhibitions have been on display at libraries later on, and so on. And also a very important exhibition on the Nokia N-Gage is coming up. It's opening in October. It's a massive effort, so if you're into the N-Gage, then this will be for you, because it has a lot of world exclusives. We have developer interviews, we have prototype devices, and of course you can play the N-Gage games there as well. And I've only shown you like a fraction of what's actually here, so it's very much worthwhile to take a visit to Tampere. And with the same ticket, I might add, you can see like 10 different museums, 10 different exhibitions within the same building, and you can have lunch here, so you can spend the whole day here, no problem.
That was the tour. I'm speechless just having seen all of this. I'm probably gonna take a private tour myself without the camera, but because we didn't get to because we didn't check out absolutely everything together, just some of the highlights for you guys, and I'm gonna check out the arcade first. I think I'm just gonna live here now. Wouldn't you want to as well? Well, sadly I can't live in the museum, so I came back home to my own museum. And wow, I really was speechless at the end of all that touring, and I thought I'd say a few words here at the end. Like Sakurai said, some people live and die without moving anything but the dirt they are buried in. But this is a legacy worth something. What Mikko and others have built here is absolutely amazing and inspiring. And thank you, Mikko, for giving me the tour guide. I appreciate it so much. However, this is not all. I have a few more clips that I really couldn't fit into this video, but I thought you would actually want to see them, so I'm gonna release them as their own little clips. So you'll have that to look forward to next. Also, you should go see the N-Gage exhibit. I sure will. Thanks for watching.